minimize the problem. Hello, welcome to Church at Home for this fourth Sunday in Ordinary Time. Father Ed Estock here.
Father Michael.
Father Joshua.
And we are coming to you from one of our regular perches now, from the Priest House at St. Albert the Great. I'm glad that you joined us. In our conversations in preparation for today, we have acknowledged the call and the role of being a prophet like Jesus, and a prophet like Jeremiah, and like Moses, and
really like Paul too.
Right, like Paul. And what all of those have in common is that they were all rejected and they suffered for their prophecy. So that's one thing. But we really weren't talking about that. We were talking about the call for us to be prophets and how we might best manifest that, speaking on behalf of God. And so St. Paul seems to give us an insight.
He does. He talks about love, and he says, I can do all these great things, but if I don't have love, I'm just I think he calls himself a resounding gong. It's like, I'm just barking at you. I'm just making noise. Because if we don't do it with love, then ultimately I think we're not doing it for God, and we're not doing it for the other's good, because that's what love is, the concern, the will for the good of the other. So if you don't do things with love, especially something like prophecy, then you're not accomplishing their good. You're ultimately not accomplishing anything at all.
Right.
But it's not just, you're absolutely right, but it's more than that even too, because we're always going to be speaking. Our words, our actions, everything that we do is always saying something. Right. And so on whose behalf are we saying? Right. Is it for our own ego? Is it for the Lord? Is it for someone else's good? Is it an act of love and charity? Or is it for our selfishness, or for even for the enemy? What are we speaking?
Yeah, so this is particularly interesting for those of us who call ourselves Christian, right? So by calling ourselves Christians and accepting this title, we are telling the world that we are, in a sense, on behalf of God. That's what it means to be a Christian, right? Yeah. Gandhi, wasn't it, that said, I would have
been a Christian had I ever met one.
That's right. And that's exactly what he was saying. Now, I think his criticism is a bit harsh, but the fact is, how effectively are we giving witness? That's another maybe way to speak about Christian prophecy. Are we giving witness to God and to Jesus Christ, risen from the dead, by our manner of loving? So if our mode isn't loving in the world, what are we doing? What's your mode of prophecy? Are you being right? I don't know.
Yeah, is it trying to always
win an argument,
win an argument,
make a point, best somebody? That's not true prophecy.
Right. Yeah, triumph over my enemies, defend myself from the evil world. What do you say today? What is your thing? I guess I don't know. What is your gig?
What's your deal?
What's your deal? That's what I knew. What is your deal? This past weekend, I was at least talking about mission and the mission statement, Jesus' mission, and his preaching in the synagogue in Nazareth. And so it's kind of the same thing. It's like, well, who are you and what are you about? And if you don't know the answer to those two questions, well, you're definitely not going to get it right. But even for those of us who proclaim, well, I'm a Christian and my deal is to spread the gospel. I said, okay. And so this angry, contentious, sourpuss face, I think we hear Pope Francis saying this, that is a strategy on how you're going to fulfill your this little mission of being a Christian witness on behalf of Jesus. So it's not a bad thing for us to...
It goes back to, Jesus obviously says it, but we have that phrase that's often attributed to Francis of Assisi, preach the gospel with your life and use words when necessary. You know, it's not just the things that we say, but it's everything that we're doing. Are we, is every action directed, and even in those moments of where we feel that we're alone, right? So physically, like maybe in our car, or when we're, and we get mad at someone on the road, or we get those kind of things, like that is still us prophesying. Like who are we speaking on behalf of in that moment when we lose our temper, or who are we, it's more than just, it's our whole life. Like our whole life has to be this proclamation of the good news, because it should have transformed us. Whether we've allowed it to transform us or not is a different question.
Right. And the standard of love really is a great examination of conscience for us. It was Pope Paul VI, and I just read this in studying. John Paul II, who was the Cardinal Archbishop of Krakow, he actually wrote the document that Paul VI published called Evangelii Nuntiandi, so I thought that was an interesting thing. But what Paul VI said there is that we are always evangelizing, but we don't. For whom and in what manner are we evangelizing the world around us? So I don't know. I guess we could take a poll with your people you live with. I don't want to do it here. Thank you very much. But like, how am I doing on proclaiming the gospel of Jesus Christ risen from the dead today? And somebody says, well, based on the look on your face and the snark in your voice, I'd say not too well. So love is patient, love is kind, love does not put on airs, love is not jealous.
You got really far in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good.
I don't know that I could have gotten that far.
Oh, in all those things?
Yeah.
I always think I know what's next in that.
Well, how many weddings have I had compared to you? We usually we usually get to listen to this. And Pope Francis, to mention him again, in his document called The Joy of Loving, it is really a scripture reflection on this great hymn in praise of love from Paul's letter to the Corinthians, first letter to the Corinthians. So, anyway. I don't know.
It is this, Paul says, I will show you this still more excellent way, and then he proclaims this. So we know that this is the excellence that we're all striving for. Even if we don't meet it every single moment of our day, we're still in process, right? We're still in the, we're our aim should always be towards that love, towards that proclamation of the gospel through love.
Right. Yeah. No perfect, just a perfectly striving. So, well, great. Hope you have a blessed week, and we'll see you in church on Sunday. Peace.